let's hi. We can get maybe 1 more minute to have everyone. So as a nice highbreaker, where are you from? That would be nice. And maybe if you want to share also. So I'm François. I'm product manager at Luzmo. So if you want also to share what is your favorite visualization in your Luzmo when you're adding in the Luzmo dashboard, feel free to share it. It would be also nice to hear. So yes, we are almost 3 minutes. So let's start. We have a 30 minutes agenda. So for those who weren't there, I'm François. We will present the agenda today. So before we dive in, here's a quick look of what we'll be covering today. First, we'll talk about why up-to-date insights matter and how faster access to data impacts both day-to-day decisions and long-term business success. After that, I would like to introduce you, or maybe for most of you, reintroduce you to 𝗲𝗹. 𝗲𝗹 is a Luzmo built-in acceleration layer, and it helps you to deliver faster dashboards without rebuilding your entire stack. From there, I will dive into what's new and why we are doing this webinar. It's more to dig in 𝗪𝗲𝗿, our latest upgrade, and we will explain how it works, and we will have a nice demo, and we'll finish by a nice Q&A. So feel free to drop your questions as we go. So let's start right in. Let's start with something that we all know is the need for speed in analytics. So right today, data-driven decisions happen in real time. We all know that. And for me in product, it's for instance, it's very important to monitor feature adoptions. And people usually need answers instantly, not tomorrow, not in 1 hour, but right now. But there is a problem. And the problem we are facing is that most analytic systems are still relying on slow things or queries, which might be heavy, or refreshes who are not happening right away. And the delays create a gap between the question and the answer. So that's the problem we wanted to tackle with 𝗲𝗹 and 𝗲𝗹 datasync. Having faster insights is not just about convenience. It's really about agility. When the team are working and can trust the data, the company can move faster. We truly believe also, and we also saw that very often. So, and actually, in fact, according to the recent studies, that's where this quote is coming from. 74% of businesses say that real-time data improve decision making. So they are saying that they are more agile, and it leads to a competitive advantage. I wanted to share the context of 𝗲𝗹, acceleration layers, 𝗲𝗹 datasync, before starting to digging really the specifics, and that's why we are going to now work a little bit more on 𝗲𝗹 itself. So I don't know if you know, maybe you can also say that in the comments, if you know already 𝗲𝗹, if you are already using 𝗲𝗹. 𝗲𝗹 has been released 2 years ago. And if you don't know about 𝗲𝗹, I will quickly explain that you should think of 𝗲𝗹 as a performance booster. And it fits between your data source and your dashboard. Instead of querying your database every time the dashboard is loading, 𝗲𝗹 syncs the data into high performance store. So at Luzmo, we are using ClickHouse that optimize for speed and performance. This helps your dashboard to stay fast, and it also helps to reduce the load on your production systems. And you know what? What is also super cool with 𝘁, I hope that you also discovered it, is that it's fully managed. So you don't need to maintain or your own caching logic or materialized views or even your infrastructure. You just activate 𝘁 and you choose when, how often you want the data to be synced, and let's 𝘁 handle the rest. 𝘁 works with all supported data sources, and it fits into your existing setup. So it gives faster dashboards without adding complexity. So 𝘁, even if 𝘁 doesn't offer real-time updates, it's really a good solution for teams that need consistently fast performance and fresh data. Well, in short, 𝘁 accelerates your dashboards and protects your backend without the headaches. That's what we're also building, and we are experiencing for now 2 years with our customers using 𝘁. And now, what's new? We have just launched March 31st, so 3 days ago. It's not an April Fool's. We released 𝘁 Delta Sync. 𝘁 Delta Sync is a major evolution of 𝘁. Until now, 𝘁 will sync your entire dataset every time, whether or not the data had actually changed. That works fine for small datasets. But when you scale up, those full syncs become slower, heavier, and prone to failure. We worked for a lot of time. We took actually more than 2 quarters to think about what we can do, and we came up with this solution we named 𝘁 Delta Sync. So with 𝘁 Delta Sync, you can only sync what's changed: the new rows, the updated rows, and potentially the saved deleted rows. This means no more full table reloads and massive improvements in performance, especially for large datasets. I will come back to that also later. And it also unlocks faster sync frequencies. While full syncs made it difficult to update data very often, and I shared that before, Delta Sync allows you to refresh as often as 30 seconds without overloading your systems. What it means for your user, it means near real-time insights. For your team, it means more efficiency, lower load, and less infrastructure pain. So 𝘁 Delta Sync for us is really smarter, faster, and built for scale. That's what we come up with at Luzmo. Now that I did quite a nice, I hope, presentation of what is or why we built 𝘁, why we built 𝘁 Delta Sync, let's dig into the specifics. For me, that's really important that I highlight this part before doing the demo, just to let you know what are the different requirements and the different things to take in account when we are talking about Delta Sync. So first thing first, unlike full sync, which reloads the entire dataset at every interval, Delta Sync is much more efficient. It syncs only the records that have changed. So that includes new, updated, and self-deleted rows. It's important to keep these three, I would say, ways of these three types of rows updated in mind. But to make that possible, Delta Sync needs some technical things to check in your datasets. So it requires timestamps columns in your dataset, like created at, updated at, or deleted at. The names are really random, but it's usually how data sources are using naming these columns. And how it works, it compares those values to the last thing to determine what needs to be transferred. There is also an important piece is that if you want to update and soft delete, the system needs to know which exact row to change. That's why datasync also require a unique identifier like an ID. Again, ID's naming doesn't matter, but it's a unique identifier. Without it, we can't safely apply updates or deletion. So at this time, I just want to summarize that Warp datasync is working with frequencies as low as 30 seconds. And to make that happen, we have to introduce some requirements based on the type of columns we are requiring. So at least your dataset should have one timestamp column. If your dataset doesn't have any timestamp columns, it will not be eligible to Warp datasync, but you can obviously still use Warp full sync without limitations. And when it's configured, datasync will work automatically at the interval you defined, keeping your dashboards up to date and with a minimal load, and it will refresh the data for your users. So again, feel free to add your questions in the comments. We'll come back to that in the Q&A. But now we can switch to the demo. So let me show you what we are talking about here. Oh, so you know Luzmo. Here I'm a dataset page. This dataset is a test dataset we created with Postgres to show you a little bit how Warp datasync is working. So how it works is really straightforward. When you want to enable Warp, you can enable Warp in different part of the product, but I will use this on the edit details page to show you how it works. You have this model. This model is new. We updated it to support the new type of synchronization. So you can choose between full and delta. When you choose between full and delta, so full, there is no additional settings because it's really straightforward. Like I said, full sync will sync the entire data set. And you can choose as before the schedule, and you can choose also the frequency. If you select delta, you can see that you have additional settings. And it's what I was talking about a little bit earlier. You have three delta synchronization modes. First one is append only. Second one is append and update. The third one is append, update, and delete. I mentioned the new rows, the updated rows, and the soft deleted rows. It's here where you are choosing which mode you want to use. So depending on your data set, depending on your use case, depending on your data source, you can choose one or another. If you choose append only, we'll ask you to pick a timestamp. So you can have a drop down where you can choose which column we are going to use to identify when a new row has been created. If you choose append and update, you can see that we're asking three different columns. So one is created at, so the creation timestamp. Second one is updated at, and the third one is the unique identifier. I as explained earlier, the unique identifier will be used for us to know which row we need to update. It is not required if you are just using append only, because we don't have to know which line, which row has been created. But here you need to specify an identifier. Then nothing really different, just the synchronization frequency. So frequencies, like I said, it starts to, it goes from seconds to years. So here I will pick, for instance, 30 seconds. That's the minimum. I will choose this schedule just to show you in this meeting how it works. So let's activate it. So it will take, so here I will also explain what is happening behind the scene. First time, we are enabling delta sync. We are doing a full sync actually. Why? Well, it's basically because we need to get all the rows from this point. So here we are going to do a first full sync. And then after that, we will update based on the frequency you set. And here, so it can take, depending on the size of your data set. Here the data set is not huge; it's few hundred rows, so it should take not too much time. And when it's done, we will see what the impact on the data set and dashboard. In the meantime, let me show you. So I embedded a quick dashboard. So it's just some data based on this data set. So it's about hotel management application, the number of nights booked, the number of bookings, the booking value, so some numbers and some visualizations. Now we have 279 bookings. I want to highlight this number because the idea is that while we are going to show that, to see that, it will hopefully work and update live. So let's check how the synchronization is going. So the synchronization is done. As you can see, work now is enabled. It's synchronized every 30 seconds. Like successful synchronization has been done a few seconds ago, and the next synchronization is in a few seconds. The most recent synchronizations we are showing you here. Now the different synchronization, the history. We appended 324 rows to the data set. So here, if I'm refreshing the page, just testing right now, nothing is happening because we have to wait 30 seconds at least to see a change. And hopefully, when I will update another time, we can already see, oh, not yet, but we are still maybe on time. Nope. It happens when we are doing a live demo. Sorry for that. What I can show you in the meantime is the different WRF settings. So here in this module, what we added is the ability to see also the recent synchronizations. You can see your settings. You can obviously edit them if you want. You can also come back to full or to switch back to delta. And another thing I can highlight is the new button we introduced to trigger manual full sync. Why we introduce this manual full sync? It's basically because even if the synchronization is working well when you are doing a delta, sometimes for data integrity, you want to resync your data source and your data set on Luzmo. So whenever you think it's required, you can do that by triggering it manually from here. And while I was speaking, you saw that we had 24 rows were appended and 14 rows updated. So let's see in our, I'm doing that also live. Hopefully we see that we have now 323 bookings. So when we are talking about fresh data and performance here, we are still using WRF. We are still using our optimized ClickHouse infrastructure, but now we can refresh the data more often. And also what is very important is that even if we are not talking about seconds or minutes, we are not synchronizing the entire dataset. So what I want to share here with you is an example. We did a beta for this feature with some customers to get some early feedback. And during this beta, a dataset, a customer tried to synchronize a dataset with more than 100 million rows. The dataset is massive. They are using Warp at the moment, full sync. When full sync is syncing, it takes hours. Sometimes, like I said, it can lead to failures and some timeouts, some network issues, whatever. Sometimes it happens. So they wanted to try Delta Sync to see if it can be improved. When they use the Delta Sync, from synchronizing 100 million rows every day or every time they are trying to sync, they started to only sync new rows and updated rows, which was less than 1 million rows per day. And this syncing this 1 million rows per day took only 40 minutes or something like that. So just to give you an example of how Warp Delta Sync can be useful in terms of also reliability, performance, and obviously keeping your data fresh for your customers. So that was pretty it for the demo. We can switch back to the Q&A. Let's see. So we have a question. Maybe we can highlight the question on the screen. Yes, so right now we are hard deleting the rows from the dataset. For Delta Sync, we need to keep the record and store a deleted that timestamp. We have a deleted dataset per tenant, but not every tenant has Warp enabled. So, or can Luzmo without Warp detect a soft delete? So right now, if I understand correctly, maybe I don't know if you can share your what you really wanted to say, but if I understand correctly, can Luzmo detect a soft delete without Warp? Not really. We need to have this Warp enabled. So I would suggest, but even we can take that offline actually. Yeah, but right now I would suggest maybe to enable it for every tenant. Yes. Let's see the second question about Geoffrey. Use these timestamp columns, and there you mentioned created that, updated that, deleted that. Can we use other columns inserted as well, or those names? No. The names are not a hard requirement. I said created that, updated that, deleted that because it's usually how these columns are named. But whatever the name, it doesn't really matter. The most important is that it's a timestamp, and it will give us the ability to identify when the row has been created, when the row has been updated, or when the row has been deleted. If the row is not created but inserted, that's perfectly fine. If it's appended, that's perfectly fine. We don't. It doesn't matter for that. Does it matter which time? That time we can maybe check that also. The third question, I started setting up Delta Sync yesterday. I have noticed that dataset with over 4 million records are failing. Is it a limit of Warp? No, it is not. It is not, like I said, we had examples with dataset bigger than that. What I would recommend is to reach out to support if you have an issue here, because that's definitely not expected. What I can say is that, like I said at the beginning, the first time we are doing a full sync. So maybe this full sync as the first time failed, We can investigate why it failed, but it's not a limitation. If your data set is 4 million records, it should work. So let's reach out and we'll investigate. So you mentioned Luzmo needs a date column to warp the dataset. Does this mean warp won't work when using date range parameters? For example, I'm using a query with date range between parameters. So it's two different. I think it's two different things. Warp we will use these columns to sync the rows, but the filters are the different parameters you are going to use. If you are using potentially other timestamps, it will not impact this your setup. So whatever setup you are using, it should be different if you are having specific columns for warp and columns, date columns for your dashboards, filters, and so on. Another question from Stuart. Maybe that's the last one. Currently, day is the shortest update schedule available to me. How do I get shorter frequencies? So yes, indeed, days is the default frequency for warp delta and warp full sync. How do I get shorter frequencies? The best thing here is to reach out probably to your customer success manager or to cs@luzmo.com, or you can obviously reach out to me and we will take that also offline. We can discuss that asynchronous. I see that we are almost on time. There is Stuart, another question. So recently, when datasets are warped, it is no longer possible to see the SQL behind the set. No worries for the questions. That's great. And actually, we can also dig a little bit deeper in in these topics offline, but it might be also, interesting for everyone. I don't know about this specific update, but I can investigate why it's not doable. I can't really answer on the spot, so let me get back to the team, and I will reach out to you, Stuart, after this webinar. And a really last question: can we set up a webhook whenever a data sync has completed? Right now, it's so we are going to document in our developer documentation warp delta sync. So you will be able to do to use it when it's documented. So it's coming very soon. Yes. And Adam, no, it should. What should happen is that if it works, even if there is no change, it should be marked as a success. So if you have a failed in your history, feel free also to reach out to support or let me know, and we'll investigate because it's not expected. But we are 1 minute over time, so we can maybe wrap up here. So thanks, guys. I hope that it was useful and you enjoyed the session. We'll try to do that more often. And feel free to test it. Warp Data Sync is fully available, so it's available to everyone. Test it. Feel free to reach out to me or to anyone at Luzmo if you have any questions. And yes, have a nice end of the day. Thanks.